The garden is quiet. Vivian walks carefully along the stone path. She notices that the place is empty, and relief fills her heart. She believes this is finally her chance to escape. She moves slowly, trying not to draw attention to herself. Just as she thinks everything is going smoothly, a cold voice suddenly calls out and asks what she is doing there. Her steps freeze. She turns and sees him standing behind her. He is the second prince of the Astaroth Empire and the Archduke of the North, Aslan Reshef Astaroth. He is known throughout the Empire as a cold and ruthless man. Many people whisper that his nature feels closer to that of a wild beast than a human being. His presence alone makes the air heavy. He calmly asks if she wishes to take a walk. He adds that she should have called him first so they could take a pleasant stroll together. His tone sounds gentle, but she knows better than to believe it. Vivian forces herself to smile. She explains that he seemed busy. He replies that he can always make time for her. She expected something like this to happen. That is why she prepared an excuse earlier. She quickly mentions that she received an urgent letter from her sister. She hopes this explanation will allow her to leave without suspicion. Aslan looks at her carefully. He comments that she must have a very close relationship with her sister. Then he calmly asks, "Since when has the crown prince become her sister?" Her heart drops. She looks down at the letter in her hand and finally notices the royal seal stamped on it. It carries the mark of the crown prince, Johannes. Confusion fills her mind. She has no idea why she even has a letter from him, especially when Johannes and Aslan are clearly at odds with each other. Before she can explain, Aslan takes the letter from her hand and tears it apart without hesitation. He tells her they should forget about it and return to the bedroom. He reminds her that she promised to spend the day with him. She suddenly begins to cough. He asks if he startled her. She shakes her head and says it is only a little cold today, and she is fine. He responds that they should go back and rest. She cannot afford to grow sicker, especially with their wedding day approaching. He then asks her to confirm that she is looking forward to becoming his wife. Vivian remains silent. Inside, she feels defeated. She thinks she has failed again. The opportunity to escape slips through her fingers, and she fears she may never get another chance. Her current situation did not begin here. It started long ago with a poorly written will and an unexpected end. In her previous life, she died in an accident. Somehow, after that tragic end, she awakens inside the body of a character from a novel she once read. The story tells of a hero who defeated an archdevil. However, the hero's descendants were cursed. They would eventually transform into beasts. The male lead of the novel is Aslan. As a member of the imperial family, he carries the curse as well. Although he is born human, he is destined to transform into a black lion. His fate is tragic and painful. In the original story, his fiancée knows nothing about the curse. She only cares about his power and handsome appearance. That selfish and cruel fiancée is the villainess of the story. Her name is Vivian Eleonora, and now she is that Vivian. According to the novel, Aslan eventually grows tired of Vivian's terrible behavior. He falls in love with her older half-sister, the true female lead. Filled with jealousy and anger, Vivian tries to harm her sister. In the end, Aslan personally eliminated her. Fortunately, she takes over Vivian's body before the original story begins. She decides to stay quiet and keep to herself. When the time comes, she plans to step aside peacefully and wish Aslan and the female lead happiness together. But there is one detail the novel never mentions. Vivian is slowly dying from tuberculosis. The second chance at life comes with a cruel condition. She only has about 1 year left to live. No one stands beside her. No one cares about her illness. All she has is her inheritance and limited time. Since her life will end soon anyway, she decides to use part of her wealth to secure a comfortable future for herself. She writes a will stating that she may no longer remain in this world. She claims she will live under a new identity and asks that no one search for her or wait for her return. She leaves all her property and lands to her fiancé, Prince Aslan. Her plan is simple. She will quietly disappear and spend her remaining days at a luxury resort. If the villainess leaves the story early, the main characters can fall in love without obstacles. Everything seems to go smoothly at first. However, while traveling, she is suddenly stopped by thieves. They block her carriage and demand that she hand over everything inside. They mock her and tell her to accept her unlucky day. She calmly agrees that it is indeed unlucky, but not for her. She takes out a sword. The thieves laugh at her and admire her courage, but they believe she cannot defeat them. They underestimate her completely. They quickly regret that mistake. Vivian is from House Eleonora, the most prominent military family in the Empire. Her skills are not weak. Within a short time, she defeats them all. Afterward, she begins coughing again. As she tries to steady herself, she suddenly hears a low growl coming from somewhere nearby. She looks around and notices a strange house standing alone in the middle of the forest. It feels out of place. Curiosity pushes her forward. She enters the house carefully. Inside, she finds a cage covered with fabric. When she pulls the cloth away, her breath stops. A black lion stares back at her. Its fur is dark and thick. Its eyes shine with a deep golden color. She recognizes them immediately. It is Aslan. She stares at him in shock. She wonders what he is doing here in his lion form. She also questions whether this happened because she failed to follow the original storyline. Perhaps her decision to avoid him has changed events. She never wanted to get involved with him again. Yet she cannot simply stand there and watch him die, trapped like a beast that cannot even speak. No matter what happens in the future, he does not deserve such an end. She brings an axe closer to the cage. Before breaking it open, she silently hopes he will let her leave afterward. Then she strikes. The cage breaks apart. The lion immediately roars, shaking the entire house. A few days earlier, in the Grand Manor of Aslan, he sits quietly in his study, staring at the will that belongs to Vivian. The document seems small, yet it interrupts his work completely. Frustration gnaws at him. Diego stands before him, composed and respectful, but he reminds Aslan that it's not just any piece of paper. Aslan glances at him, expression dark, and remarks that he knows this. He thinks Vivian is probably doing it simply to grab his attention, to pull him into her schemes once again. Diego nods solemnly. This time, it seems true. The physician from House Eleonora had informed him that Vivian had contracted tuberculosis. The disease has advanced so far that very little can be done to help her. Aslan considers this quietly, realizing that the shock of the recent events may be what's causing her to behave like someone entirely different from the Vivian he once knew. He frowns and instructs Diego to burn the will immediately. He doesn't want the Emperor discovering it and using it as a weapon against him. But Diego informs him that His Majesty has already ordered a thorough investigation into Lady Vivian's documents. Aslan's jaw tightens. He knows the Crown Prince must have heard about it too, and Johannes will not let this slide. The Crown Prince will stop at nothing to pin the blame on him. Anger and urgency surge within him. Aslan decides he must act quickly. He orders Diego to find Vivian immediately and bring her to him before she loses the fight against her illness. He thinks to himself, not for the first time, that Vivian has been a constant nuisance from start to finish. 5 days later, Aslan leads his men into the forest in search of her. Diego hesitates, warning him that the southern forest is dangerous during the rainy season. Aslan's eyes narrow, and he replies that danger is the least of their concerns. It has already been 5 days since they began searching, and time is slipping away. He allows them to wait at the base of the mountain if they are too fearful. He rides alone. As he moves through the forest, stepping down from his horse, a sense of unease creeps over him. He wonders if he is being followed, if assassins sent by Johannes are trailing him. The thought of anyone daring to oppose him fuels a cold, burning rage. He thinks of shredding anyone who dares cross his path. Suddenly, a voice cuts through the tension. It calls his name and claims to be Aslan's true self. The voice urges him to embrace the hideous, bloodthirsty beast within him, to spend the rest of his life drowning in regret and despair. Aslan yells, furious and resisting the voice, reminding himself that he cannot collapse here in the forest. A memory surfaces unbidden. He recalls Vivian questioning him about breaking their engagement. He affirms it, coldly stating that it means she will never rise to the rank of Archduchess for as long as she lives. As he begins to turn away, she coughs, calling him back. The memory leaves him unsettled. He wonders why he is being shown this, if it is meant to make him feel guilt over what happened to her, over the fact that she is now unwell. He questions Astaroth itself, as if the voice intends to throw his soul into the pit of despair alongside his body. When he opens his eyes, a presence comes into view. He roars instinctively, but the tension fades when he recognizes her. It is Vivian. Confusion rushes through him. How did she end up here? Did she lock him in this place? But he quickly discards the thought. She may have saved him, yet he doubts she is strong enough to protect herself completely. A cold realization hits him. The Astaroth curse is a secret of the highest order. If she has uncovered the truth about him, he should remove any risk she poses. Yet, he cannot leave her alone in this dangerous place. After all, she is still his fiancée. With a mix of caution and determination, he carries her to a nearby cave as rain begins to fall. Soon, Vivian stirs, her eyes open. She turns her head and sees Aslan close to her. She wonders why she is here with him. Slowly, she removes her hand from his body, and that is when she notices blood on her fingers. Her heart tightens. Without wasting time, she tears a piece of cloth and carefully ties it around his wound to stop the bleeding. As she works, she wonders who could have injured him like this. She also wonders if he is already used to getting hurt because of his dangerous life. Even so, she quietly thanks him in her heart for bringing her to safety despite being injured himself. When she looks up, she sees him staring at her. She lets out a small laugh and lightly asks if he has any other wounds. Her eyes then move to the strange mark on his chest. It looks different from what she remembers in the novel. The shape and color are not exactly the same as the description she once read. She tells him to remain inside the cave while she looks around to check their surroundings. But the moment she stands, he rises too. She quickly realizes he has no intention of letting her go alone. As she glances again at the mark on his chest, understanding slowly settles in her mind. This is the imprinting cave. In the original story, this is the place where Aslan and the female lead first formed their bond. They were trapped here because of heavy rain. During that night, they shared deep feelings, and crimson marks appeared on both of their chests. Through that mark, Aslan could keep his human mind even when he transformed into a beast. Vivian's heart feels uneasy. She wonders why he is here with her instead of the female lead. Things are clearly not going according to the original storyline. Before she can think further, voices echo from outside the cave. Someone says that according to a magic tool, he is definitely inside. Vivian immediately understands. They are talking about Aslan. The men want to capture him alive and deliver him to the crown prince. Fear rises inside her. She turns to him and urgently signals for him to run. But instead of escaping, he steps forward and attacks the intruders. His movements are fast and fierce. Vivian grabs a thick tree branch nearby. Anger burns inside her as she wonders how they dare torment a poor creature that cannot even speak in this form. The men are surprised to see her. They question who she is and quickly decide that they cannot leave any witnesses behind. One of them moves toward her with his sword raised. She does not hesitate. With sharp movements, she knocks him down. His sword slips from his hand and lands near her feet. She silently thanks herself because her earlier calculations were correct. However, she soon notices that there are more enemies than she expected. She picks up the fallen sword. If they want to fight, they will meet her blade. But suddenly, the men begin to retreat. Fear spreads among them as they realize they cannot win. They run away into the forest. Vivian lets out a weak laugh. The moment the danger passes, her strength leaves her body. She collapses to her knees and begins coughing heavily. Her chest burns. She realizes she has pushed herself too far again. Still, she reminds herself that she has already written her will. She is prepared for her final outcome. She thought she was ready to disappear peacefully. Aslan begins to walk toward her. His large beast form slowly transforms back into his human shape. Without saying a word, he bends down and lifts her into his arms as the rain continues to fall. He wonders why she risked herself for him. The Vivian he knew before was not like this. That Vivian cared more about power than love. She was only interested in her own benefit and status. That was the Vivian Eleonora he had always known. He tells himself that she should have remained that way. It would have been easier. If she had stayed selfish and proud, she would not be constantly on his mind. Yet now, an overwhelming desire to get closer to her grows inside him. He cannot understand it. He wonders what this strange feeling is and questions what she has done to him to make his heart restless. After some time, Vivian slowly opens her eyes. The ceiling above her is unfamiliar. She looks around and realizes she is in a large, luxurious room. The furniture is elegant and everything around her looks expensive. Standing nearby are Aslan and another man. The man speaks with a careful tone and explains that there is no proper treatment for her condition. He says she may not last beyond a year. His words are calm, but the meaning is heavy. Aslan's expression darkens immediately. He sounds frustrated, reminding the man that he was brought here because he is known as the best doctor in the South. Yet, this is all he has to say. Vivian, still weak, thinks Aslan might lose his temper and harm the doctor. She quickly calls out to him. He turns at once, surprised to see that she is awake. He moves closer to her bedside. She asks where she is. He tells her they are in his manor in the south, and she should not worry but rest. He apologizes for making her stay in such a place and says they will return to the capital once she feels better. Then he adds that they will get married immediately. She suddenly sits up in shock. He gently tells her to lie back down and rest a little longer. She asks what is happening. He explains that he knows she has always looked forward to this marriage and says she should not worry about the preparations because he will handle everything himself. Then he hands her a document and asks her to sign it. Vivian feels confused. She cannot understand this situation. She clearly remembers that Aslan once disliked Vivian. If he marries her now, what will happen to the female lead? The story is moving in a completely different direction. She remains silent as thoughts rush through her mind. Aslan tells her that he will stay by her side from now on, so she will not be alone like before. Hearing this, she grows even more uneasy. She believes he is trying to bind her to himself with a marriage certificate, even if he does not truly care for her. She concludes that the only reason he is going this far is because he suspects she knows about his weakness, the Astaroth curse. He must want to keep her close so he can watch her carefully. She tells herself firmly that she cannot marry him. Finally, she asks why he is doing this. She reminds him that she does not have much time left, and that their engagement was only a political arrangement. It would be pointless for both of them to rush into marriage. She quietly asks him to allow her to spend her remaining days alone, but he replies that he will do whatever it takes to save her. At that moment, Diego gently reminds him of his duties waiting elsewhere. Aslan glances outside and realizes how late it has become. He tells her they will continue the discussion the next day before leaving the room. Vivian watches him as he walks away. In his private chamber, Diego asks if he is truly fine. He carried Vivian all the way back despite his own wound. Aslan answers that he is fine. Then he gives a new order. He wants Diego to investigate everything about House Eleonora, including their hidden matters. He wants to know why they neglected Vivian until her condition became severe and why they kept it secret. Meanwhile, Vivian lies alone in the quiet room. She wonders why everything is happening so suddenly and why there is such urgency. She thinks about the dream gate she once hoped to see again and questions whether she ever will. She feels as if her peaceful plan has fallen apart. Now, instead of disappearing quietly, she may have to spend the rest of her days walking carefully around Aslan, always cautious of his thoughts and actions. A knock sounds at the door. A maid asks for permission to enter. Vivian allows it. The maid steps inside and informs her that His Highness has requested her presence at breakfast the next morning. They will discuss the marriage certificate then. Vivian's heart grows heavy as unease settles deep within her chest. The next morning, 3 maids carefully dress Vivian in fine clothes. As they work, she quietly thinks about Aslan. She cannot understand why he went out of his way to save her. His words from the night before echo in her mind. He said he would do whatever it takes. Halfway through the novel she once read, there was a brief mention of a treatment for tuberculosis. The cure was being developed by one of Aslan's close acquaintances. It was rare and could only be obtained through Aslan himself. Remembering that detail now makes her heart beat faster. She wonders if she can survive long enough for that treatment to be completed. The maids step back and admire their work. They compliment her appearance, saying she looks beautiful. She thanks them politely. Soon, they escort her to the dining room. As she walks down the long hallway, she thinks deeply about what would benefit her most. She needs to protect herself while also avoiding being controlled by Aslan. She knows she must act carefully. Breakfast begins calmly. The atmosphere is quiet but not tense. Surprisingly, Aslan does not bring up the marriage immediately. This makes her feel slightly relieved. Perhaps it is better if he takes things slowly. After some time, the head chef approaches and respectfully asks if the meal is to her liking. She says it is. The chef thanks her warmly. He gently takes her hand and leans closer as if to show respect. At once, Aslan calls out to him. His tone is sharp. He comments that the meat appears burnt and questions whether the chef truly knows how to grill a steak properly. He even suggests that he is starting to doubt if the man is worthy of being the head chef. The chef apologizes deeply. Aslan then states that breakfast is over and instructs everyone to leave. The room soon becomes empty, leaving only him and Vivian. Without delay, he brings out the marriage document again. He holds a pen in one hand. As he reaches toward her, his fingers brush against her skin, causing her to flinch. He apologizes, saying he did not intend to rush her, but he can no longer hold himself back. To her, this feels like pressure. She wonders whether he is truly a prince or someone trying to trap her like a loan shark. Just as he is about to finish, she suddenly stops him and slaps his hand away. He looks at her in surprise. She quickly asks if he is all right. He calmly replies that he is fine, and that this is nothing compared to what she has endured. She gathers her courage and asks him directly why he is doing this. She admits that it is true she once desperately wanted to marry him, but now she has no such desire. Her only wish is to spend the remaining year of her life peacefully and quietly. Instead of arguing, he flips the document over and begins writing something on the back. He explains that this is now a contract. In it, he vows to use all of Astaroth's resources and intelligence to treat her condition. If after 1 year she is still alive, she will sign the marriage certificate on the other side. She asks what will happen if she does not survive. He firmly states that such a thing will not happen. He also promises to take every precaution to protect her, ensuring she does not fall victim to any other illness or accident. She listens carefully, though doubt remains in her heart. Yet she cannot ignore something important. He has had many chances to remove her from his path, but he did not. If he is going to such lengths to persuade her, it means he cannot easily dispose of his own fiancée. Slowly, she makes a decision. She will take advantage of this arrangement and wait until the cure mentioned in the novel becomes available. If she can endure until then, she may truly have a chance. She accepts the contract. Still, a strange feeling settles within her, as though she has stepped into the role of prey without realizing it. From that day on, she remains at Aslan's manor. Inside her room, she secretly prepares an emergency bag in case she needs to escape. She knows Aslan's mood can change, and if she offends him, her safety might disappear. As she finishes packing, there is a knock at the door. Aslan steps inside and remarks that he called her earlier, but she did not respond. His eyes slowly scan the room. He notices the slight disorder and questions why the bedroom looks unsettled, almost as if she was preparing to flee. Vivian steadies her breathing. She knows she must stay calm if she wants to get out of this situation safely. Vivian quickly apologizes for the messy room and explains that she was only searching for something. Aslan asks what she was looking for. She tells him it was clothes. She wanted to step outside for some fresh air, but there are not many outfits that fit her thin body anymore. He looks at her calmly and says that whether she dresses up or not makes no difference to him. In his eyes, she's always beautiful. She pauses, wondering if she heard him correctly. For a moment, she questions what he just said. Before she can think too deeply about it, he turns to Diego and orders him to cancel all his plans for the day. He announces that he is going into town with Vivian. She looks surprised and tells him he does not have to go through such trouble. He insists. He even adds that he will act as her bodyguard. She is not pleased by this idea. Still, there is no room for refusal. Soon, they leave the manor together. As they enter the busy streets, she looks around at the crowd. Shops are open, people are talking, and children are running about. She wonders how long it has been since she last enjoyed a proper outing. When she thinks carefully, she realizes she never truly had the chance to live freely. First, she was confined at home. Even after running away, she moved from one problem to another. She cannot even call her current situation freedom. A quiet question forms in her heart. Will everything truly be all right? Her eyes soon catch something shining at a nearby stall. There are beautiful stones displayed neatly. She asks about them, and the seller explains that they are magic stones. Before she can respond, Aslan calmly says he will buy them all for her. She quickly refuses. She explains that she does not have mana, so she cannot use them anyway. The seller adds that she could still keep them as souvenirs, yet she feels uneasy. She wonders why Aslan is so eager to spend money on her. Instead of the stones, her gaze shifts to a sword displayed at another stall. She picks it up and holds it naturally, as if it belongs in her hand. The people nearby stare in surprise at how skillfully she handles it. Even Aslan looks impressed. Inside, she tells herself that he should observe her carefully. She will not allow him to take advantage of her. Aslan, on the other hand, watches her closely. He thinks she shines brightly in moments like this, just as she did in the cave. The memory lingers in his mind. Suddenly, a loud cry for help breaks the calm atmosphere. Someone shouts about thieves. Vivian hesitates. She is trying to hide her identity, and interfering in other people's problems has only caused her trouble before. She tells herself that the city guards will handle it. But then she hears the desperate voice again. The victim cries that the thieves have stolen his mother's keepsake. Without thinking further, she runs toward the commotion. She sees a man about to strike the one accusing him. She steps forward and blocks him, firmly telling him to return what he took. The thief swings toward her and warns her to stay out of it. Before she can react further, everyone suddenly turns their attention to Aslan. His expression is cold with anger. He questions how the man dares raise a hand against Vivian. He notes that even he treats her with the greatest care. In the next moment, he moves toward the thief with force. Soon the matter is settled. Vivian retrieves the stolen item and returns it to a young lady. The woman thanks her deeply and explains that the keepsake is proof that she is her father's true daughter. Without it, she would not be believed. The grateful lady asks for Vivian's name, but before she can answer, the city guards arrive. Not wanting attention, Vivian quickly grabs Aslan's hand and pulls him away, saying they should leave. Behind them, the young lady watches with admiration. She considers Vivian her savior and says she will meet her again someday. As they walk away, Aslan softly calls her name. Only then does she realize she is still holding his hand. She quickly lets go. He points out something else instead. Earlier, she addressed him by his name rather than calling him Your Highness. He suggests that she continue calling him by his name. She looks at him in surprise and repeats it carefully. He smiles and confirms that he likes it. He leans slightly closer to her, then says they should return to the manor since it is getting late. As they walk back, she wonders why he wants her to call him by his name. The request feels simple, yet it carries meaning she cannot fully understand. Elsewhere, the Crown Prince observes the situation from afar. He comments that his younger brother certainly has unusual habits. Still, he notes that at least this new development will keep Aslan occupied for a while. Vivian recalls the moment Aslan asked her to call him by his name. The memory lingers softly in her mind. She thinks that if every day passes like that, calm, almost gentle, then she can endure this whole year. She tells herself there will be no more chaos, no more traps waiting around the corner. Yet today, she sits stiffly beside the Crown Prince. Earlier that morning, she receives permission from Aslan to go out. He insists on sending his best guard with her. She declines, saying she wants to walk freely, just once, without anyone watching her every step. He hesitates, then finally permits it. She boards a carriage alone. On the way, she notices the road feels unfamiliar. She leans forward and tells the coachman they are not heading toward the bank. He calmly replies that they are taking a shortcut. She frowns but remains silent. After a long while, they finally stop. It takes far too long for a simple shortcut. She steps out, confused, staring at the grand building before her. Then everything changes. She is seized before she can react. Now she sits beside Johannes Friedrich Astaroth, the first prince, the Crown Prince, the very man known as the main villain of the story she once read. He smiles faintly and says it must be fate at work. The coachman simply made a wrong turn, he claims. Since she is already here, she should relax and enjoy the visit. She does not believe a single word. In her mind, she connects the pieces quickly. Johannes is Aslan's older brother, the emperor's legitimate heir. Unlike Aslan, whose mother was once a maid of the inner chambers, Johannes is born to rule. The imperial palace once used dark magic to pass the terrible curse of Astaroth onto Aslan. That curse is unstable, like a ticking bomb that could explode at any time. It holds a power capable of summoning demons and destroying everything. Of course, Johannes would see Aslan as something dangerous, something to control. Vivian understands now. She is here because of Aslan. Johannes gestures toward the wide blue ocean before them. He says he often visits the south to admire the view. The sea calms him, he claims. This place is precious to him. Now it has become even more special, because he can share tea here with a dear friend. He thanks her softly. She feels the hidden meaning in his words. She politely excuses herself, saying she feels unwell. He immediately responds that the imperial family cares deeply about her health. He would like to introduce her to an imperial doctor. He tilts his head and asks whether she feels neglected. Is she receiving enough care from Aslan? She senses the trap. He is trying to plant doubt. She calmly answers that she understands Aslan. He avoids using his power for personal matters because he does not wish to abuse his position. Despite rumors, he holds strong ideals. As she finishes speaking, she suddenly hears a soft meow beside her. A small cat brushes against her dress. Johannes laughs lightly and says he has heard she is good with animals. She gently picks up the cat. In the novel, Vivian was known for this strange gift. She strokes its fur, and it relaxes instantly. Johannes says the beast in his care has been difficult lately, and he hopes she can help. She smiles faintly and says the cat in her arms seems well behaved. He says he is not referring to the cat. Before she can respond, a familiar voice cuts through the air. Aslan walks toward them, eyes cold and sharp. He says she is far too extraordinary for someone like him, and certainly not someone Johannes should drag here against her will. The tension thickens. Johannes stands and tells his younger brother to take good care of her. It would be troublesome, he adds, if a filthy beast were to set its sights on her. He steps closer to Vivian and softly invites her to tea again next time. She dislikes how he makes it sound as if she came willingly. Suddenly, her chest tightens. She coughs, her body trembling. Aslan immediately lifts her into his arms. His voice lowers dangerously. If anything happens to her, he will not forgive his brother. She tells Aslan to put her down, embarrassed and weak. Johannes sighs in mock disappointment. He prepared all this because he heard she likes cats. She tries to say she understands him, but he interrupts, smiling faintly. It seems, he says, that she has already fallen for another beast. Inside, Johannes thinks differently. He believes she is mistaken about Aslan. In his eyes, Aslan is nothing more than a creature ruled by instinct, craving power and wealth, not love. He wonders quietly what she will do when she finally sees the truth, and he waits eagerly for that day. Now they are back in Aslan's grand manor. He informs her that the doctor says her condition has worsened because she overexerted herself. She should not have gone out alone. She needs full rest. Aslan's jaw tightens. He says it is his fault. He should not have allowed her to leave without protection. His voice grows firm as he adds that he will never let her go out alone again. She tries to protest, but he stops her. He already knew Johannes had come south for a short visit, but he never imagined his brother would set his sights on Vivian. When Johannes tried to turn her against him, rage swallowed him whole. For a brief, dangerous moment, he even considered wiping everyone out and taking her back by force. He wanted Johannes to never see daylight again, to pay for deceiving him. But then she defended him. She believed in him. That memory cools his anger, yet it stirs something deeper. He suddenly remembers something from the past. His own cruel words. He once declared that Vivian would never be Archduchess for as long as she lived. He wonders who else spoke such filthy things to her. Who made her feel unwanted. Now quietly, he asks if she hates him. Then he quickly tells her to pretend she did not hear that. But she answers anyway. She says she does not hate him. He looks at her sharply and asks why. Inside, she thinks he is annoying and frightening, but she does not say that aloud. Before she can explain further, a cough interrupts her. Her body shakes again. Diego steps forward and says she needs complete and uninterrupted rest. Aslan nods stiffly. He leaves her in their care. As he walks down the long corridor, her words echo in his mind. She does not hate him. But what if she learns the truth? That he is cursed. That a demon's mark runs through his blood. That he is nothing but a wretched beast wearing a human face. Would she still say she does not hate him then? He lets out a quiet breath. He thinks he is truly repulsive. Yet all he wants is to keep her close. To lock her away where no one else can look at her. No one else can touch her. No one else can even whisper her name. He wonders what this burning hunger inside him is. Then he understands. It is a desire. In her room, Vivian stares at the ceiling. Because of the Crown Prince's actions, she knows she will now live under constant watch. Guards, servants, eyes everywhere. When she thinks about the earlier scene with Johannes, something feels strange. In the novel, that ocean meeting did happen, but not with her. It was supposed to be the heroine, not Vivian. Her heart beats faster. Everything that should be happening to the female lead is happening to her instead. This is not a coincidence. If events continue to shift like this, what will happen next? A few days later, a messenger arrives from the Imperial Palace. Aslan reads the letter, surprise flashing across his face. The marriage between him and Vivian Eleonora is not permitted. His expression darkens instantly. Soon after, he informs her that they are summoned to the capital. Anger radiates from him, heavy and sharp. She gently tries to calm him, though inside her mind races. The next part of the story clearly takes place in the capital, but she was supposed to remain in the manor recovering. She is stepping into the heroine's path again. She tells herself she should stop interfering. No matter what the original story says, if the Emperor orders her to do something, she will obey. Soon they are traveling north. During the journey, she asks if they are heading straight to the Imperial Palace. Aslan says no. They will stop at Blackford first. She realizes that is his territory in the north, his true domain. She says she has never been there. He asks almost lightly if she wants him to give her a personal tour. When they arrive, she is stunned. The estate in Blackford is even more lavish than the southern manor. Tall towers rise against the cold sky. The halls shine with dark marble and silver light. He tells her she will need to get used to it. Then he shows her to her room. She steps inside and freezes. One entire wall is missing. Or rather, it is replaced by an open arch that connects directly to another chamber. His chamber. He calmly says it is natural for the Archduke and his wife to share connected rooms. She cannot believe what she hears. Does he trust her so little that he must watch her so openly? She is exhausted. She only wants silence. Seeing her reaction, he quietly apologizes, but he hopes she understands. He reaches out and gently caresses her face. His touch is warm but possessive. He says he does not want her out of his sight, not even for a moment. Then his tone brightens slightly. She has come all this way, so they will celebrate her first visit to Blackford with a grand feast. He takes her hand and says they should go. She stares at his faint smile and wonders why he looks pleased while she feels like she is crumbling inside. If she did not know he once eliminated Vivian in the novel, she might think he is in love with her. Suddenly, she pulls her hand away. He softly says her name. She quickly explains that her hands are sweaty. He looks at her for a second, then gently takes her hand again. That evening, after dinner, they took a quiet walk through the gardens of Blackford. Aslan says the night air is refreshing. She agrees softly. Inside, however, she longs for a little space. Lately, he has been closer than before. His hand lingers longer. His gaze follows her more closely. She wonders if it is just her imagination, or if he truly has grown more possessive. After a while, he asks how she likes Blackford. She responds that the estate is grand and impressive. The halls are wide, the ceilings high. The attendants are kind, and that makes her stay pleasant. He turns to her slightly and asks what she means by kind. She explains that in her old household, the servants often kept their distance from her. They treated her carefully, as if she might shatter, or as if she carried something dangerous. She thinks to herself that tuberculosis is not even contagious in this world, yet people still avoid her. He says nothing, but she feels the air grow tight between them. She realizes she should not have mentioned it. She quickly assures him she is fine. He replies that he is not fine with it. Disobedience toward her, he says, is disobedience toward him. She will be his wife. Even if the imperial palace stands in his way, it will not stop him from protecting her. His words surprise her. She did not expect him to sound so determined. Then she notices servants walking nearby. She suddenly understands. He wants them to hear. He wants the message to spread. Still, she cannot help feeling a little guilty. Her will and sudden disappearance have already caused political trouble for him. He tells her not to mind whatever she hears in the capital. He will handle everything. She gently tells him not to push himself. If marriage becomes too difficult, they can find another way. Even so, everyone will see that he has been sincere as her betrothed. That is enough. She says it is getting cold and suggests they return inside. As they walk back, he wonders if she thinks his sincerity is a burden. He remembers the pain he caused her before. Perhaps it is too soon to win her heart. Later, she lies in bed. A thin curtain separates her chamber from his connected room. She knows he is just beyond it. She turns onto her side and closes her eyes. The meeting with the Emperor is only a few days away. She hopes nothing goes wrong. Sometime later, a faint noise wakes her. She sits up. She softly asks if Aslan is there. No answer. After a moment of hesitation, she rises and parts the curtain. She walks closer and asks if he is in pain. Is it because they are in the capital? Minerva, the capital of the Empire, is known as the sacred place where the hero once defeated the demon Astaroth long ago. She wonders if the divine power lingering in the city is affecting the demonic force inside him. She says she will call a doctor. He catches her wrist gently and stops her. He says he simply has not been in the capital for a long time. He will feel better after a few days. Then, quietly, he asks her to stay. He says he feels a little dizzy. She blinks, confused. Does being in Minerva make him more clingy? She tells him there is nothing she can really do just by standing there. But before she can move, he leans forward and rests his head against her chest. She freezes. This is awkward. She wonders what the heroine would have done in this scene. In the novel, the heroine once sang him a lullaby. She does not know any songs from this world, so she simply pats his back gently. After a few slow breaths, he falls asleep. In the morning, she wakes up feeling heavy and sleepy. He tells her to rest a little more. She jolts upright and questions why he is here. Then she remembers. She stayed with him. She asks carefully if nothing inappropriate happened between them. He smiles faintly and says that is debatable. Her eyes widen. Just then, Diego knocks and enters. He begins to report about House Eleonora, but when he sees them, he pauses and apologizes for disturbing them. Aslan tells him to continue. Diego says 2 messengers arrived from House Eleonora. They insist on taking Lady Vivian back to Eleonora Manor. Aslan's expression hardens. They come without warning, and now they want to take his wife away? Diego continues. Duke Eleonora demands her immediate return because her half-sister has come home. Vivian's breath catches. Iris. The heroine of the novel is back. However, Aslan tells Diego to drive them out because Vivian has long since cut ties with her family. Diego notes that they are very adamant, but Aslan insists that they be removed by all means, and that Diego should eliminate anyone who refuses to obey. Vivian interrupts, thanking him for defending her, but stating that she would like to see her sister. He remarks that she is just her half-sister, yet Vivian insists that she is curious about her. Besides, she caused quite a fuss when she ran away, and she feels she should take responsibility and settle things properly. He notes that she is far too soft-hearted. She laughs at his words and insists that he accompany her, explaining that if they show her father the strength of their relationship, he won't be able to scold her much. She pleads, and after a moment of silence, he agrees. Soon, they step outside and face the Eleonora messengers. Aslan glares at them, and they tremble before greeting him and Vivian. He informs them that he will accompany Vivian on the journey. They attempt to decline, but he warns them, and they accept. On the carriage, Vivian asks how he is feeling and apologizes for asking him to come. He remarks that it is better this way, and that he wanted to see the situation at Eleonora Manor for himself. He reminds her to be careful not to strain herself. Vivian notes that everything is going smoothly. If it continues like this, the male and female lead of the original story will finally meet. Since Aslan is watching her closely, all she can do is wait for him and the female lead to connect. She must survive until the tuberculosis cure is ready, and to do that, she has to divert Aslan's attention toward the female lead. In the novel, Iris was so kind-hearted that she pitied Vivian to the very end. Vivian maps out in her mind how she wants things to unfold. Aslan will say that she knew about the curse all along and decide to eliminate her, but Iris will intervene, noting that if it weren't for Vivian, he would never have met her and the curse would remain hidden. Then Aslan will agree and instruct Vivian to take the cure and leave. She concludes that this plan is perfect. Meanwhile, Aslan wonders what she is thinking. At Eleonora Manor, Duke Eleonora notices that Iris isn't eating. She answers that she is just considering whether she wants to be here. He remarks that it is nonsense, stating that as her father, he welcomes her with open arms. She acknowledges that she is happy to see him, but worries that, as an illegitimate child, she might bring him disgrace. He admits that her mother was a maid, but assures her that he loves her with all his heart. He regrets not being able to stay by her mother's side until the end, which is why he wants to do for Iris what he could not do for her mother. She is surprised, feeling glad that her father is now in her life, though a part of her remains uneasy. She recalls the woman who helped retrieve her stolen keepsake and the relief it brought her, wondering how she is now. Duke Eleonora informs Iris that Vivian will arrive today. Surprised, she stands immediately, noting that she hasn't made any preparations. She quickly finishes her meal and makes herself presentable. Her father calls her name, warning that Vivian is as conniving and treacherous as her deceased mother. No one can predict what harm she might cause, so Iris must remain cautious. Still, Iris resolves not to think poorly of her younger sister until she meets her herself. Duke Eleonora praises her heart of gold and remarks that Prince Aslan should see what a perfect bride she could make. He then informs her that he intends to make her the wife of Aslan, the second prince of the empire. She questions this, noting that Aslan is engaged to Vivian. A servant enters, intending to inform the Duke of Vivian's arrival, but he silences him, noting that he is eating. The servant apologizes and adds that Vivian has arrived with Prince Aslan. Duke Eleonora's eyes widen in surprise when he hears the words, Prince Aslan, though doubt clouds his expression. He questions quietly why Aslan would come all this way for Vivian, wondering if it's truly necessary. After a moment, he turns to Iris and notes that this might actually work in their favor, that perhaps the engagement could be arranged sooner than they initially expected. With that, he instructs her to come along and greet His Highness. As they enter the grand hall, the servants bow deeply, their movements precise and respectful as they welcome Aslan and Vivian. Vivian can hardly believe the sight. She never imagined receiving such an elaborate greeting at Eleonora Manor and wonders if it is the sheer weight of Aslan's authority that compels everyone to behave this way. Meanwhile, Aslan's sharp gaze observes the flurry of servants scrambling to attend to them, and he frowns slightly, questioning why they are so eager to greet them despite already knowing of Vivian's arrival. Vivian chuckles at his words and, curious, asks one of the servants about Iris. The servant bows apologetically and explains that Iris is currently having a meal and cannot be seen at this exact moment. Aslan's eyes narrow. He questions whether they summoned a sick lady only to make her wait, his tone firm. The servant quickly bows, pleading for forgiveness, and promises to inform Duke Eleonora immediately. At that moment, Vivian's eyes catch a familiar figure, a young lady she helped recover her stolen keepsake. It is Iris. Iris's face lights up as she refers to Vivian as her savior, and recognition dawns on Vivian. This is the female lead from the novel, and for a moment she feels a mix of surprise and confusion. An overwhelming desire to get closer to her reminds her of their meeting in the south and expresses how happy she is to see her again. Their father interrupts, greeting Prince Aslan formally before introducing Iris properly. Vivian steps forward and introduces Aslan as the Archduke of Blackford to Iris, adding that he was the one who drove away the thief that day. Iris blinks, surprised that Vivian addresses her so directly by name, and she asks if she may call her Vivian. Vivian nods, smiling, allowing the familiarity. Immediately, Duke Eleonora scolds Vivian harshly. He reminds her that after bringing such disgrace to their family, and to His Highness through her actions with the will, she has yet to offer a single word of apology. He continues, his tone grave, that to set matters right, he personally requested that His Majesty dissolve the engagement. Vivian listens attentively, absorbing every word. Her father's declaration means that she will never be the Archduchess. Both Iris and Aslan react in shock. Vivian, however, quickly assesses the situation. Since her ultimate goal is to bring Aslan and Iris together, the annulment does not present an immediate problem. Yet she recognizes a potential complication. If their legal ties are severed before she has built sufficient trust with Iris, it could create difficulties. She wonders quietly if Aslan will still honor the understanding they shared now that he is no longer technically her fiancé. Observing Aslan, she notices the fury in his expression and whispers for him to calm down, urging him not to make a scene in the hall. Her father continues, insisting that there is no reason for her to cling to Aslan. The maids begin murmuring quietly among themselves, sensing the tension. Iris suggests moving the discussion inside, away from prying eyes, but Duke Eleonora silences her, claiming he knows precisely what he is doing. He then pleads with Aslan for forgiveness, acknowledging that he was likely caught off guard by the sudden annulment. He hesitates, then cautiously asks if he might propose a more suitable bride in Vivian's place, immediately introducing Iris as poised, mild-mannered, and far better suited to the role than a certain someone. Turning to one of his servants, Henry, he asks for confirmation. Henry nods in agreement. Aslan's gaze lands on Iris, and a single word escapes his lips. Pathetic. Vivian stiffens in surprise. Duke Eleonora questions the meaning of his remark. Aslan draws Vivian slightly closer, explaining that he called her father's desperate attempts to isolate Vivian pathetic. Nothing more. Duke Eleonora tries to deny it, but Iris steps in, agreeing with Aslan. She insists that it is wrong and that she will not become a disgrace who steals her own sister's fiancé. Her father glares at her, his expression sharp and threatening, questioning whether she would defy a royal decree and his direct command. Iris remains firm, asserting that she refuses to do so. In the sudden tension, Duke Eleonora raises his hand, but Vivian steps forward instinctively and his hand lands on her cheek instead, leaving her with a sharp sting. She swallows the pain, feeling the weight of the moment as the hall falls into tense silence. Aslan screams her name, his voice sharp and filled with urgency. Vivian, without hesitation, steps forward and tells her father firmly not to touch her sister. She continues, her tone calm but resolute, that they haven't processed the sudden news of the broken engagement. Everything had been overturned in an instant, and they are yet to receive a proper explanation from His Majesty. She kindly asks her father to wait until they have that audience, emphasizing that while the engagement may have originated as a political agreement between families, it was also a personal promise between herself and Prince Aslan. As she speaks, Aslan watches her, a soft smile tugging at the corner of his lips as if silently approving her composure and determination. He walks towards her as she admits that she isn't feeling well and suggests they stay for the night instead of attempting anything further. Her father, clearly irritated, mutters something about her impudence. Vivian walks away, thinking to herself that the Duke's slap is nothing she couldn't handle. Yet she marvels at how effective the dramatic act had been in winning Iris's favor. She hadn't expected it to work this smoothly. Iris approaches her, worry evident in her eyes, and asks if she's all right, noting that Vivian had dragged her into the chaos once again. Vivian reassures her, insisting she's fine. Iris offers to tend to her wound, but Vivian politely declines. They soon enter her room, and Vivian notes silently that it is much smaller than the one at Aslan's manor. Aslan, observing her reaction, remarks that he will stay in her room as well. She wonders why, when he could easily take a perfectly suitable room elsewhere. He questions if she started living in the annex after contracting tuberculosis, and she responds uncertainly that she thinks so. Her memory of events not detailed in the novel is hazy, leaving her unsure of past details. She doesn't remember much from before the possession, but there is a quiet relief in that. She retains the etiquette, the discipline, and the swordsmanship instilled in her body. Aslan tells her to get some rest, and she accepts, offering a soft thanks. He reaches for her face, his fingers brushing lightly against her cheek, and reminds her of what he told her back at the manor, that she is the one meant to be his wife. He reassures her that she doesn't need to throw herself into danger, that he will always protect her. She agrees silently in her mind, though her body seems to react even before her thoughts catch up. He notes that it is simply her nature, yet he insists she take better care of herself, at least for those who care for her. Vivian finds it strange that he phrases it this way, echoing the contract. Yet today it feels tender, familiar, almost as though she has heard these words before in another time, another life. Suddenly, he asks if she can stay alone for a moment. She questions where he is going. He responds that he needs to take care of something briefly and will return soon. She nods, sensing there is something he isn't saying, and thinks once again how impossible he is to figure out. As Aslan walks away, he stops abruptly at the sight of Duke Eleonora. The Duke bows quickly, apologizing for the earlier incident and trying to explain himself, but Aslan interrupts, stating that he is here for another matter. He wishes to hear more about the engagement with Iris Eleonora. The Duke nods and instructs maid Anna to escort Aslan to a room, but Aslan declines, insisting on choosing a location with some fresh air, somewhere more suitable for discussion. Meanwhile, in her room, Vivian notices something tucked beneath the pillow. Curious, she lifts it and discovers a book. She flips through the pages, puzzled by its presence, and begins reading. It is a diary belonging to her great-aunt on her maternal side, who had retired to rest and recover, only to perish in a carriage accident. Vivian learns that she and her older brother inherited their aunt's estate, leaving a pressing question: who will care for their remaining family? Vivian examines the dates and handwriting, realizing the diary likely began when she was 10. The final entry chills her. It recounts her great-aunt coughing up blood, a bitter taste rising in her mouth. A life fought desperately under the Duke's cruelty, ending tragically with her death. The weight of it sinks into Vivian's chest, a somber reminder of how fragile life can be under oppressive hands. At that moment, a faint knock at the window draws her attention. Heart quickening, she approaches and opens the curtain. A bright beam of light spills into the room, and she freezes as a tall shadow looms just beyond the glass, mysterious and commanding, filling her with both caution and curiosity. Vivian blinks at the figure in the bright light, her heart skipping a beat, and then she realizes it's Alex Eleonora, her older brother. She steps back slightly, startled, and questions what he's doing here, noting that she thought he was supposed to be at the academy. Alex brushes a few leaves off his coat and hair, a faint smile on his face, and replies that he came to see her. He asks how she's been, and she can't help but question why he climbed through the window, pointing out that he scared her half to death. He explains that he had no choice. If he had tried to enter through the front gate, the attendants would have swarmed him instantly and dragged him straight to their father. Vivian nods slowly, realizing his reasoning and the careful thought behind his actions. Alex leans against the window frame, his expression turning more serious as he asks if there isn't something she should be telling him. She tilts her head, confused, and then notes quietly how impressive he is at climbing walls. He shakes his head, insisting that it's nothing, and presses her to be honest. His eyes narrow slightly as he asks why she didn't tell him about her tuberculosis. She remains silent, unable to meet his gaze, and he continues, noting that he heard she left a will and ran away. He questions if he really has to learn such things from someone else. She quietly admits that she had planned to write to him, but she had been so overwhelmed by the possession and everything else that she hadn't spared a single thought for Alex until now. After a brief pause, Alex explains that he had gone abroad to study, to become strong enough to protect her from their father. But now, if she disappears on him like this, he declares that he won't go back to the academy. Vivian's eyes widen. She points out that he's so close to graduating. He responds with unwavering determination, reminding her that she is terminally ill and asking where else he could possibly be but at her side. She tries to reason with him, telling him he is being ridiculous and should return to his studies. She questions how he could have left in the middle of the term without saying a word. He smirks and admits he has his ways. He had snuck out. She apologizes for worrying him, assuring him that she is perfectly fine and that things aren't as bad as he imagines, insisting he return to the academy. But then Alex notices her red cheek and frowns deeply. He demands to know what happened. She explains, her voice calm but firm, and he cannot believe that their father struck her in front of everyone. His eyes flash with anger, and he curses their father under his breath. Since she had allowed it to happen on purpose, he warns her to be careful. He confides that he has a feeling the broken engagement won't be the end of it. Vivian tells him not to worry, and notes that she doesn't believe Aslan would accept it quietly. Alex asks if she means the second prince, and she confirms, spilling that she knows Aslan doesn't care for her all that much. Vivian explains that the Empress, attempting to place Johannes on the throne, had always seen Aslan as a threat, which is why she was chosen as Aslan's fiancé. Being forced into an engagement by the Empress would have been insulting enough, and now that it is being called off, she reasons that there's no way Aslan would take it lightly. Alex nods, stating that it's safe to assume Aslan is on her side. She affirms it. Still, Alex insists that she inform him if anyone causes her trouble, even Aslan, promising he won't let it pass. She laughs softly, questioning what he would do. He explains that he would help her escape, then take her place in disguise and marry Aslan himself. Vivian cannot help but laugh aloud at the thought. She hasn't laughed this hard in ages, and she asks if he plans to sleep there tonight. He had intended to leave after seeing her, but now decides he needs a word with their father. She raises an eyebrow and asks if he is planning to start a fight. He counters, asking if she wants him to, but she warns him not to dare. A maid interrupts, reporting that the Duke left the manor with Prince Aslan. Vivian and Alex exchange puzzled glances. She wonders aloud if the matter Aslan needed to take care of is somehow related to their father. Meanwhile, Prince Aslan and Duke Eleonora walk briskly through the gardens. The Duke urges Aslan to look kindly upon Iris. Aslan nods, understanding the Duke's intent, but asks, quietly and sharply, "What about Vivian?" The Duke hesitates, questioning if the prince is uncertain how to deal with her. He explains that he will put Aslan's mind at ease. Vivian is to be married to Lord Nicholas, the Margrave of the Borderlands. Aslan raises an eyebrow, noting that Lord Nicholas must be well past 50. The Duke affirms, emphasizing that it suits His Majesty's desire to see a loyal servant to the Empire properly settled, even as a widower. He adds that Vivian will be able to devote her remaining time to a meaningful purpose, which should be considered a great honor. Aslan's lips press into a thin line. He knows far too well what awaits women married off to the Margrave and decides there's no need to listen any further. Aslan stops, his expression darkening. He turns to the Duke and insists that, since they are soon to be family, they must speak openly and honestly. The Duke agrees and explains that he sent all attendants away to ensure privacy. Aslan stretches a hand toward the Duke, his movements deliberate, and grips him suddenly by the neck. The Duke struggles, his words caught in his throat. Asking what? Aslan's voice is low and dangerous, chilling even in the light. He tells the Duke to consider himself lucky. Few have the chance to witness this side of him, the demon of Astaroth. He deals with him for a while, controlling the fear, the desperation, and the flailing movements. In the midst of it, a memory surfaces, triggered by the steady, icy calm in his own mind. Diego approaches and presents a thick folder, the investigation report into House Eleonora. Aslan takes it, skimming through the pages, absorbing the meticulous records of each misdeed, each crime. His eyes pause on one detail, the poisoning of Duchess Eleonora. The former Duchess had been delicate, her frail health making her unfit to bear the heavy responsibilities of leadership, yet her mind was sharp, and her political instincts were unparalleled. Despite her limitations, she wielded real power, and the former Duke sought a figurehead to hold the title, a convenient puppet to mask the true governance. He brought in a distant relative, a man with no charisma or influence, to marry into the family and take the title. That man is the current Duke Eleonora. But the poisoning of the Duchess was only the beginning. As Aslan reads further, he sees the pattern unfold clearly. The current Duke's calculated mental and physical abuse, the public humiliation designed to crush Vivian, the theft of her inheritance, the neglect, the manipulation, and finally the demand to dissolve the engagement. With each page, Aslan's understanding deepens. He finally comprehends everything about Vivian. Her desperate attempts to preserve the engagement, the choices she made to secure her position, and the path that led her to embrace the role of a villainess. Every calculated move, every bold decision, now makes chilling sense. At that moment, Aslan's gaze hardens, and he turns back to the trembling Duke. He tells him bluntly that he will give him a chance to make amends. Go to the Emperor immediately and plead that the annulment be reconsidered. Otherwise, the nightmare he just witnessed will become his reality. The Duke struggles to rise, eyes wide with terror, and mutters that he is still alive. Aslan calmly reminds him that what he just endured was an illusion, created by a magic stone, a mere shadow of what could have been. The Duke reels, confusion and fear clouding his mind. He wonders to himself, rationalizing that nothing else makes sense. Aslan must be Astaroth, the demon of legend. He questions the prince's motives, why he would torment a man over a girl like Vivian. Aslan leans closer, voice low and cutting. He asks if the Duke, with his pitiful mind, even comprehends how deeply she has taken hold of him, how every breath, every thought, every fiber of his being is entwined with hers. Then he states plainly, with a certainty that chills the air, he belongs to Vivian. Morning comes and sunlight filters through the window. Vivian stirs slowly, reluctant to leave the warmth and softness of her bed. Her hands brush the sheets, wondering if her bed has always been this comfortable. When she finally opens her eyes, Aslan is there, sitting close by, silent and watchful. She jolts upright, calling his name in alarm, and questions when he returned and where he went the previous night. He draws her gently closer, noting that she should stay near him. The bed is too small for distance. She presses him for an answer again, but he simply says that he had business to take care of. She hesitates, asking if it had anything to do with her father, only to realize that he has already fallen asleep. A knock at the door interrupts the quiet, and a voice announces that her morning medicine has been brought. Vivian hesitates, then gestures for them to come in, realizing that she is still lying against Aslan. The door opens, and she is stunned to see Alex standing there trying to surprise her. He freezes at the sight, equally shocked. He quickly apologizes to Aslan for intruding, explaining that he didn't expect the prince to be in her room. Aslan waves him off, saying it's fine. Alex had no reason to expect his presence, and introduces himself politely. Alex nods, masking his inner thoughts. He wonders if Aslan is simply playing the concerned fiancé after ignoring Vivian for so long. Aslan, in turn, quietly notes that Alex has decided to act like her brother, finally stepping into that role after being absent. Vivian clears her throat to draw their attention, and Aslan informs Alex that they plan to remain here a few more days. Vivian has much to catch up on, he explains, and she has yet to meet Iris properly. She affirms this, preparing to speak, but Aslan interrupts, noting that Duke Eleonora left for the Imperial Palace last night to request the reinstatement of the engagement. Convincing the Emperor should be a little easier now. Vivian hesitates, a flicker of doubt crossing her mind, wondering if Aslan might have done something severe in the process. Ever since Aslan went searching for Vivian after her disappearance, he has been able to remain conscious even under the curse. Now, he controls when it takes hold. He reflects silently, concluding that it is because of Vivian that he can maintain his clarity and keep the shadows at bay. Vivian looks at Aslan, and he gives her a small, reassuring smile. Alex, standing nearby, raises an eyebrow and notes that it's surprising their father would change his mind so suddenly. But he decides to play the host graciously, and with a polite bow, he informs them that breakfast is ready and hopes they will join him. One of the reasons Aslan asked to extend their stay at Eleonora Manor is that Vivian's condition had worsened slightly overnight. His Majesty had been gracious enough to decree that she could come to the palace whenever she recovered, which should have been a relief. Yet Vivian cannot stop the knot of worry tightening in her chest. Even now, she wonders what could come next. In the original story, the female lead had gone to the palace and faced humiliations at the hands of the Empress. But the details are hazy. Considering that so many of those same misfortunes seem to be creeping toward her now, she wishes she could remember more of the story so she might have a plan to avoid disaster. Perhaps she should simply enjoy these rare good moments while they last. Meanwhile, Aslan instructs Dylan, who is standing nearby, to bring the things he mentioned earlier. Dylan bows and hurries off to comply. After the meal, Vivian feels a tickle in her throat that quickly turns into a harsh cough. Aslan immediately suggests she return to bed. She hesitates, murmuring that it feels stifling to stay all day indoors. The conversation shifts, and Aslan comments on Alex's training at the academy, noting that he has been schooled in swordsmanship. Alex affirms this proudly. Aslan then proposes a duel with him, curious to see how well his skills measure up. Alex accepts without hesitation, and Aslan tells Vivian to come watch because the duel is for her. Vivian finds a shaded spot beside Iris, who joins her, and they watch the two men square off. She finds it oddly entertaining, the clash of swords and the sparks of energy chasing away the stray, dark thoughts from her mind. Seeing the two of them alive and brimming with vigor gives her a strange, uplifting sense of strength. Meanwhile, Aslan notes with a small laugh that Alex's skill is impressive. Alex brags that he's top of his class at the academy, which explains why it took him so long to return. Iris watches quietly, clearly impressed, and comments that seeing it all in person is incredible. Vivian wonders again if Iris has any interest in Aslan at all. The older sister admits, a little ruefully, that she is jealous of Alex's coordination and agility because she has always spent her time in books, confined to her room. Vivian teases her gently, asking about magic, noting that learning to wield it might allow her to fight and still enjoy her reading. Her thoughts wander briefly to the Imperial Library, recalling the story where the female lead met the Empress and was humiliated. A poorly secured bookshelf had collapsed, nearly crushing the Empress, who pinned the blame on the girl simply for being nearby. Vivian shudders, wondering if avoiding the library could truly prevent similar disasters. She then realizes, grimly, that fate does not chase places or people. It chases her. The regret creeps in, and she begins to cough violently. Aslan drops his sword instantly, rushing to her side. Alex and the others sprint after him, worry etched on their faces. Once in her room, Alex anxiously asks how she is doing, but Aslan interrupts calmly, explaining that the doctor recommended rest, though he admits the man tends to ramble and cannot be fully trusted. He confides that he doubts the doctor is properly assessing her condition and is unconvinced she will get the care she truly needs. Alex feels the weight of guilt pressing down on him. He had gone abroad to study for her protection, yet it seems his absence only worsened her situation. She had likely hidden her illness to avoid worrying him, and now he finds himself being looked after by his own sister. Ashamed, he admits silently that he has failed her. Aslan observes, a quiet thought forming in his mind. She is always so foolishly selfless. Perhaps it is precisely that selflessness that made him fall for her. But he cannot let her suffer anymore. He pleads silently, urging her to wake because there is something he wants to give her. Vivian's eyes flutter open, pain shooting through her chest. She finds herself thinking it is almost laughable. Once, She had been ready to give up entirely, to surrender to death. Yet now she struggles fiercely to survive. She notices a pattern. Her previous attempts to flee had failed, but facing her challenges head-on had allowed her to endure. If she can survive this way, perhaps she can even turn the crisis into an opportunity. She raises her hand slightly and a maid appears quickly, asking if she needs anything. Vivian shakes her head, requesting only that they tell Aslan to trust her, no matter what happens. Hearing her words, Aslan tilts his head slightly. He wonders for a moment if Vivian said that just to put his mind at ease. Then, almost with a sigh, he affirms to himself that he had forgotten, even for a moment, that there's no one as upright and steadfast as her. The next morning, Iris leans forward, curiosity bright in her eyes, and asks if Vivian always behaves this way. Vivian nods, her lips curling into a small smile, and notes that she's gotten over whatever had been making her feel unwell the previous day. She feels lighter, more energetic, more herself. Vivian glances at Iris and asks if she was worried about her. Iris nods solemnly, admitting that Alex had cried a lot, though Alex quickly cuts her off before she can reveal too much. Alex steps forward, his tone gentle but firm, and says that Vivian had insisted she wasn't feeling that sick. She apologizes softly, admitting that she didn't mean to worry him again. He pulls her into a tight hug, holding her close and murmurs, questioning if she truly understands just how worried he had been. Aslan steps forward then, his expression calm but authoritative, and asks Alex to excuse them for a moment. He wants to speak with his fiancée in private. Once alone, Vivian looks up at him, curiosity mingling with a slight smile, and asks what he wishes to discuss. Aslan chuckles softly, requesting that she close her eyes first. Obediently, she does so, feeling his presence draw closer. After a few moments, he tells her to open her eyes. She does, and her gaze falls upon a delicate necklace resting against her neck. Aslan asks gently if she likes it. Vivian glances at it, noting that it's fancy, perhaps more elegant than necessary for no special occasion. She wonders if he is simply putting on a show of courtesy. Still, she can't help but notice how different he is from Aslan in the original story. He even relents when she requests things with that pitiful expression he pretends to disdain, though begrudgingly. She concludes that perhaps he isn't such a bad person after all. Either way, she decides to keep playing along in this way, at least until she secures the cure. She thanks him sincerely for the necklace and everything else he's done. Aslan studies her face, the soft smile tugging at her lips, and turns away, muttering under his breath that she is always testing his self-control, and he can hardly bear it. Vivian wonders briefly if she said something wrong, but then corrects herself. She isn't merely talking about the necklace. She is grateful for his presence, for the courage he gave her to stand up to her father, and for the chance to reunite with her beloved family. She admits quietly that although she told him she was fine back at his manor, she had been feeling a little lonely after all. She laughs softly, and he caresses her, reassuring her with a gentle touch. Vivian considers that her actions smooth over the moment, but they are not lies. She is certain the Villainess of Eleonora, the one she now inhabits, would have wanted this kind of happiness too. After all, the original version of her life ended tragically. Perhaps by living as her now, she can bring closure to that story. The thought brings her quiet comfort. Alex steps closer, concern in his eyes, and suggests she run away with him. His academy is renowned for medicine, he says, and if he requests it, they might be able to help with her illness too. Vivian questions him about Eleonora. He shrugs lightly, insisting he doesn't care about the family as long as she gets to live. She shakes her head, smiling softly, and assures him that she will stay at the manor. She reminds him that Prince Aslan has promised to cure her tuberculosis, so there's no need to worry. Alex is surprised but accepts her decision. Vivian adds that Eleonora was left to them by their mother, so both of them must protect her until the end. She teases him, urging him to hurry with his graduation so he can return to fulfill his responsibilities properly. He grins and promises he will. The pleasant days at Eleonora Manor soon come to an end. Aslan and Vivian prepare to set out for the Imperial Palace, while Iris chooses to stay behind to continue her noble etiquette lessons. Alex remains as well, citing obligations regarding their father. On their journey, Vivian muses aloud about the kind of fit her father is likely to throw when he learns of all that has happened. Aslan, quiet but confident, reassures her that there's no reason to worry. It won't happen. Vivian wonders how he knows, and then realizes he must mean that Alex will handle it. Meanwhile, at the Imperial Palace, the Emperor recalls having previously extended mercy, yet notes with contempt that Aslan dared to use him in Astaroth. In his mind, Aslan is an ungrateful beast, and he swears that he will make him pay when the opportunity arises. Meanwhile, in the carriage, Aslan leans slightly closer, lowering his voice as he tells Vivian what his father said. She is to marry Margrave. Vivian blinks in surprise, her mind racing at the implications, but Aslan reassures her quickly. There's no need to worry, he says, because Lord Nicholas will soon be removed from his position, rendering the marriage arrangement void. Vivian frowns slightly, finding the situation baffling. Lord Nicholas is a man of national merit, a figure of considerable influence and respect. Yet, she decides to take Aslan at his word. After all, the Blackford intelligence network is second to none, and he would not mislead her. She quietly hopes that he will place the same trust in her, even if it means she must save the life of the Empress, someone he despises. The carriage slows and comes to a stop. They alight gracefully, and for now, everything seems to be going as Aslan said. The talks of marrying Margrave have ceased entirely. He has lost his position due to charges of treason and is now expected to face execution. Concern remains. There is still the matter of the broken engagement. Inside the Imperial Palace, His Majesty gestures for Vivian to excuse them so he can speak with Aslan alone. She notices the Emperor's stern expression and wonders what could require a private discussion. Her mind flickers to the past. Aslan suffered harsh abuse from the Emperor during his childhood in the original story. She wonders if leaving them alone is truly safe. Her worries multiply, but she knows she has even bigger concerns. She is about to be accused of attempting to eliminate the Empress. But before that accusation can even be leveled, she must act to save herself and herself. Meanwhile, Aslan receives a sharp slap from His Majesty. He flinches, then questions why the Emperor has removed the national hero from power. Aslan explains calmly that His Majesty had not been pleased with Margrave expanding his own faction. Even if he had taken action previously and the Emperor had looked the other way, Lord Nicholas would have remained in power. The Emperor's expression hardens. He remarks that perhaps he has been too lenient for too long. Without further warning, he grabs a rope and commands Aslan to kneel. Obediently, Aslan kneels, and the Emperor begins to whip him, calling him ruthless and inhuman. Aslan endures it silently, responding only that he is deeply honored. After a time, the Emperor shifts, questioning how Aslan intends to explain Duke Eleonora. Aslan asks calmly if the Duke has said something. His Majesty explains that the Duke came to him in terror, begging that the engagement to his daughter be reinstated, and confessed that he was being threatened by the demon Astaroth. The Emperor's eyes narrow. He questions whether Aslan has exploited the curse's power. Aslan keeps silent. The Emperor then demands to know why Aslan is so obsessed with the engagement. Inwardly, Aslan notes that it is because he loves Vivian, though he doubts the Emperor would understand. He thinks to himself that the Emperor and Duke Eleonora are of the same narrow-minded breed. If he is to persuade them, he must frame it in terms they can comprehend. So, he spills that he saw potential in Vivian. The Emperor's gaze sharpens. He questions what potential, and he remarks that the girl is dying of tuberculosis. Aslan responds, his voice steady. She has the power to suppress Astaroth's curse, and she may be the one who can finally end it. He continues, emphasizing that in order to claim that power for the imperial family, it was necessary to weaken House Eleonora's faction. The Emperor then questions if Aslan learned the truth only moments before Vivian's impending death. Aslan screams with anger and desperation, insisting that Vivian will not become unalive, for he will do everything in his power to save her. He pleads passionately that His Majesty reinstate the engagement because Astaroth needs her. Meanwhile, Vivian's thoughts are racing. She has to reach the library before the Empress, and she must act as if she is running into her by chance. She knows that stopping the Empress from entering is impossible. Any interference would make her appear suspicious. She recalls from the novel that the collapsed shelf is in the magic books section, her only option to lure the Empress away. Her head aches as she wonders why the novel never provided a solution. Perhaps she should have simply pretended to be sicker and stayed at Aslan's manor. Suddenly, a voice cuts through her thoughts. She hears her name. She spins around, and there she sees the Empress. Vivian bows to greet the Empress. The Empress immediately notices that Vivian appears more frail than the last time she saw her, her face clouded with worry. She concludes that the young lady is clearly in poor health and wonders why her son, Johannes, has taken an interest in someone like her. Her attention shifts toward the library, curious if Vivian is heading there, and she allows her to look around freely. Vivian moves cautiously, aware of the magic books section, and mentally urges the Empress to be careful if she intends to inspect it. She fabricates an excuse, explaining that accidents often occur in the area due to lingering mana. The Empress notes with a smile that no accident has occurred in the Imperial Library since its opening, and laughter follows as someone adds that the only way such an accident could happen is if a trap had been deliberately set. Vivian maintains that her concern is solely for Her Majesty's safety. The Empress acknowledges it politely, declaring it is not Vivian's concern, and departs. From a distance, Vivian watches, recalling that in the novel, the shelf collapses suddenly, though this one does not appear unstable enough to do so naturally. She questions what the true cause might be. The maid approaches, searching for a specific book mentioned by the Empress, explaining that she is unfamiliar with advanced magical languages. Vivian, also not fully versed in them, decides to assist the maid, who expresses her gratitude. As Vivian searches the shelves, a spark jumps onto her hand, accompanied by a fine dusting of powder. She feels the sting but remains unharmed. The maid confirms that the book Vivian hands over is the one she has been seeking and departs promptly. Vivian rubs her hand, recalling a similar sting at the store where magic stones are sold. She remembers Aslan explaining that even someone without mana could feel a sting from a magic stone, and wonders who could have brought one into the Imperial Library. Meanwhile, the Empress asks where the maid found the book. The maid explains that Vivian located it on a specific shelf and leads the Empress toward it. Sparks flicker near the bookshelves, prompting Vivian to urge caution, warning the Empress not to come closer. The sparks flare suddenly, revealing a magic stone, and the shelf tilts dangerously as it begins to fall. Vivian moves quickly, hurrying to prevent it from toppling onto the Empress. The maid rushes forward in concern, checking that the Empress is unharmed. The Empress assesses the situation, noting that the shelf has collapsed unexpectedly. Instructions are immediately given to summon the Imperial Doctor. At this moment, a faint light glimmers near the maid's skirt. The librarian steps forward to inspect it, and the maid insists there is nothing. Upon examining it, the librarian finds something unusual and informs the Empress that it does not appear to be an accident. 2 guards hold the maid as she keeps insisting it isn't her. With everyone's attention on the maid, Vivian realizes she no longer needs to worry about taking the blame. Yet she wonders why the maid didn't flee immediately if she were truly guilty. It doesn't add up. It reminds her of how the female lead in the original novel was falsely accused in such an absurd way. The Empress instructs that the maid be taken to the torture chamber, but Vivian interrupts, asking to speak. She explains that handling such a powerful explosive stone with precision requires skilled magic, and the maid has no knowledge of magical languages. The Empress prompts her to elaborate, and Vivian recounts how the maid struggled to find the book because she isn't familiar with advanced magical scripts. She concludes that anyone who doesn't know the difference between basic and advanced language could never handle a magic stone. The librarian questions how Vivian can be certain the maid wasn't acting and why the mana stone came from her pocket. Vivian admits she doesn't know, but emphasizes that the maid's hesitation to flee raises doubts. The librarian remains silent, and Vivian starts to suspect him. He is the only person skilled enough to manage the magic books, yet directly accusing him could backfire, so she decides to tread carefully. Vivian suggests examining the debris of the magic stone that toppled the bookshelf. If they can trace the remaining mana, they might identify the culprit. The librarian asks how she plans to do that. Vivian explains that anyone who isn't the stone's owner will trigger a reaction if they touch it, while the true culprit will not. The librarian finds her logic impressive, but points out that the stone's mana dissipates in minutes, leaving little time to test it. Vivian reasons that the culprit, being proficient in magic, anticipated that and didn't retrieve the fragments from her palm. She asks if her deduction is correct. The librarian questions whether she suspects him. She clarifies she wouldn't call it suspicion, then places his hands on the fragments. No spark occurs. Vivian declares she's certain. The librarian remarks that she is quite knowledgeable about magic. She laughs and admits she only learned a few things by observing Archduke Aslan. He laughs in return, admitting he underestimated her. Vivian turns to check on the Empress and notices she looks upset. She wonders if she went too far, realizing she just accused an Imperial administrator of a heinous crime. She scolds herself for being reckless. Meanwhile, the Empress questions why Vivian is alone, noting she came with Aslan. She explains that His Majesty worries about Vivian's health, allowing her to leave early. The Empress reflects that, facing a terminal illness, Vivian's time must be precious, yet she risked herself to help another. She instructs Vivian to lift her head and states she will continue observing her, likely to see if she behaves properly. Vivian notes that she now has 2 people watching her, Aslan and the Empress, but laughs at her own imagination. Aslan walks with 2 men behind him. Suddenly, he winces in pain. Johannes, standing nearby, notices the smell of blood and realizes it is Aslan. He continues, expressing how much it hurts, and remarks that they meet again after such a long time. Aslan greets him with a sharp, almost frightening glare. Johannes questions what he wants. He responds that he wants nothing, that he is only concerned. Then his gaze narrows, and he comments on what sort of elder brother would turn a blind eye when his younger sibling reeks of blood so strongly. He touches Aslan's chest, pointing out that Aslan brought this mess upon himself with reckless use of the curse, yet now he drops the consequences onto others. He questions how much further Aslan wishes to disgrace the Imperial family. Aslan retorts that Johannes is hardly in a position to speak, considering that leaving dirty work to others has always been his specialty. Johannes refuses to let him change the subject, insisting that he wants to know what Aslan is truly after. Vivian, walking close by, notices the tense exchange and senses a bad feeling. She hurries toward them, seeing that Aslan looks worse than before. She concludes that something serious must have happened. Johannes notes that it has been a while and asks if she is feeling better. She affirms, and he remarks that he hasn't felt at ease since their last parting. He then requests that she visit his palace once her business is done, promising proper hospitality this time. Aslan declines, thanking him, but Johannes emphasizes that the invitation is for Vivian. Aslan comments that she is too thoughtful to refuse, even when she knows she cannot manage it. Vivian, anxious to separate the two men, apologizes, stating that she still has matters to attend to, but will gladly accept a future invitation. Johannes promises to send a formal invitation later, and she thanks him. He observes that she has been getting along with Aslan lately, which makes her smile. Then he asks if she is aware of Aslan's true nature. Both she and Aslan express surprise. Vivian wonders why he is asking and fears he somehow knows about the curse. Her mind goes blank, leaving her unable to respond. Johannes shifts the conversation to what they might discuss over tea, teasing that her fiancé's childhood would make an amusing topic. She curses him internally, knowing that for him this is playful, but for her it is a matter of life or death. One wrong move could put Aslan in danger, or worse, endanger her. Soon Aslan calls her, breaking her tension. She laughs quietly, noting the Crown Prince's mischievousness. She checks if Aslan agrees to it, and he leans onto her shoulder immediately. Blood stains him, and rain begins to fall around them. Later, they reach a room. Vivian is taken aback at how badly Aslan has been hurt. He claims he is used to it, but she cannot shake her earlier premonition of danger. A surge of guilt fills her chest. For now, she wants to do whatever she can. She instructs him to remove his clothes so she can clean his wounds and provide fresh clothes. Observing her concern, he reassures her that she need not call anyone else, though he suggests she undress him because he cannot do it alone. Movement causes pain. Vivian begins to loosen his buttons carefully. She notices that the bruises are far worse than she expected. Her first thought is to summon the Imperial doctor, but Aslan insists she is enough. She decides to disinfect the wounds herself, focusing on the task. As she works, he remarks on his constant display of weakness in front of her and asks if she is not tired of him. She counters gently, noting that everyone has moments of vulnerability and that it is only right to accept help in times of need. The reflection of his lonely, difficult childhood stirs empathy in her, reminding her of her own struggles to bear burdens alone. That is why he feels all the more pitiful to her. He questions whether she will remain by his side, even knowing he is flawed. She affirms, thinking quietly that she will go along with it for now. What he needs most at this moment is reassurance. Once they return to Blackford, he will recover his usual composure, and this chapter of vulnerability will pass. Duke Eleonora, who vanished one night without a word, is found dead in the mountains. The cause is ruled an accidental fall. His funeral is held privately, attended only by immediate family. It is a funeral, yet no one cries. Vivian doesn't cry either. Still, something about her father's death feels off, an unease she cannot shake. Her brother, who had planned to return to the academy, suddenly inherits the title of Duke, leaving him thoroughly flustered. Fortunately, Aslan, with his wealth of experience and resources, offers generous support, allowing the succession to proceed smoothly. Iris is officially added to the family, and things seem to be going well for everyone, except Vivian, whose life feels like it keeps spiraling uncontrollably. The morning before, as the maids dress Vivian, she notices a faint mark on her chest. She wonders what it could be and questions one of the maids about it, but the maid cannot see it. She recalls a similar mark from the novel, though the color and shape differ. In the book, it is so dark that the female lead must wear dresses covering her entire chest. Vivian's mark, however, is more like the one she saw on Aslan in the cave. She wonders if he knows about it and considers asking him directly. Suddenly, she hears voices and peeks to listen. She feels a pang of surprise as Dylan questions whether Aslan is really set on the matter, calling it reckless, since, in the worst-case scenario, Madame could become unalive. Dylan pauses, hearing a noise, and decides to check the door, but sees no one. He returns to report to Aslan that it was nothing. Vivian, still hiding, wonders what they were discussing. A cold fear creeps in. Could Aslan finally be set on getting rid of her? She reminds herself that she never acted with him expecting something in return, yet questions how he could forget everything she has done for him. She realizes that she must deal with the mark without him knowing. Her thoughts turn to Jesus, the Archmage from the original novel. As Guildmaster of the Mage Guild, he helped the female lead awaken her powers and might know something about the pentagram. He is a mysterious, elusive figure, but thanks to the novel, she already knows where he is. All she needs is a chance to slip away alone. The next day, walking with Aslan, Vivian feels the impossibility of going out alone. Even a regular outing is tense. He wears his uniform, carries his sword, and his expression is as intimidating as ever. He tells her he has reserved the entire place they are going to, ensuring no one will disturb them. Vivian notes one small silver lining. They are near Jesus' guild. An opportunity like this may never come again. She resolves to lose him fast. She mentions a store she wants to stop by and carefully questions whether he would mind if she went alone. Aslan immediately responds that it isn't safe, suggesting they go together. She hesitates, embarrassed at the idea of going with a man to an undergarment shop. He freezes, then, being considerate, allows her to go. Relief floods her, and she promises to meet him at the restaurant in 20 minutes. Before he can insist on sending her maids along, she's already gone. She arrives at the store quickly, noticing the sign just as described in the story. She composes herself and opens the door. Nothing stands out at first glance, but the guild is deceptive. Illusion is second nature here, and anyone judging appearances would surely be fooled. A man approaches, noting that it is no place for an honorable lady like her, and questions if she is lost. Their eyes meet, and they both smile. Vivian recognizes him immediately. It is Jesus. Vivian recognizes that the man in front of her is wearing a disguise, but she knows she can reveal him by chanting the lullaby of the Empire. She comments on the legend that the devil appears on the night of the red moon, and he confirms it, warning her not to open her eyes. Suddenly, a bright light surrounds her, and she finds herself in a completely different location, marveling at the power of an archmage. She explains that she wants him to examine the magic circle mark on her body. At first, he does not sense anything, but soon he detects the mark and questions the nature of the dangerous magic. She asks if it is serious, and he confirms that it is extremely powerful dark magic capable of ending her life by bursting her heart. He notices her calm exterior, unaware that she is panicking inside. She trusts that an archmage of his caliber must know the solution. He notes her sharpness and reveals that her magic circle is incomplete. Unlike fully formed dark magic circles, this one does not appear deep red. He explains that dismantling the formula could resolve the problem. Vivian agrees, but he warns that the magic circle is suppressing her tuberculosis and that dark magic is possessive, unwilling to let its subject pass away except by its own will. In essence, she faces a choice between succumbing to disease or to magic. She requests that he destroy the formula and promises to pay any reward he desires. He admits that money is not his only motivator and requests the blood of a pure Eleonora, asking for her consent even if it requires wounding herself. After a brief hesitation, she takes the knife and cuts herself, ensuring him it is sufficient. He is surprised by her fearlessness and confirms the deal. After casting a healing spell on her wound, he advises her not to hide it from the Archduke, noting that a skilled sword mage would detect the residual mana, and that deciphering the formula will take time, so she must be patient. Hurrying back, Vivian worries about the chaos and suspects that Aslan must be waiting for her. At the restaurant, Dylan questions whether Aslan is worried, and Aslan, in turn, challenges him on whether he appears worried. Dylan reassures him, recalling Aslan's menacing smile earlier, and notes that everything will be fine. He prepares a rose and advises Aslan to approach Vivian with a seductive shoulder dance, presenting the rose afterward to leave her yearning, confident it will succeed. Aslan asks if Vivian truly likes this kind of gesture, and Dylan confirms that he had asked her discreetly, and she had found it thoughtful. Aslan realizes he can no longer postpone the engagement, recognizing that her illness is not improving even under the care of renowned doctors. He decides that the only way to keep her alive by his side is through the imprint ritual, which will link their lifespans so she cannot be undone before him. Recalling Dylan's warning that she could cease to exist if he meets his end, Aslan accepts that it is a reckless but necessary choice and plans to hold the engagement ceremony as soon as possible. Vivian arrives, apologizing for her delay, and he questions why she ran, noting that he should have fetched her himself. She laughs slightly, reassuring him, but he insists she is not okay and instructs her to sit and rest. He notices the subtle mana emanating from the wound on her hand. To cover it, she fabricates a story, claiming she was slightly injured while helping a woman who healed her with magic. He probes gently to confirm the truth, and she explains that the woman had asked her to hide from some men. If you enjoyed this, please rate this story on a scale of 1 to 10, and comment your favorite character below for part 2. Until next time, ciao.